welcome to another episode of Tea and Tales. This episode is going to be a little bit different because due to the ongoing kind of regional tensions in the area, a lot of people are very stressed right now about the situation, but also about what to do with their pets. There's issues about relocation, issues about pets being stressed with all of the noise. And I think Dr. Tatiana, who's with me today, can agree to the fact that people are just coming with so many questions about what to do and how can they help their pets at this moment. So we wanted to kind of sit down and basically answer all the questions that you get on a daily basis and try to help people know like a little bit more how to feel prepared about what to do with your pet. So welcome, Dr. Tatiana.
Thank you so much. You guys know me from the previous podcasts, but we'll try to make it as useful as possible. And of course, if you have any follow-up questions, use the comments below, WhatsApp us, call Modern Vet, we are prepared.
Also, just for people to know, a few weeks ago, we did a separate episode with Alison from Blue Sky Pet Relocation, focusing just on pet relocation. So if you're thinking about relocating your pet, this is also a good episode to watch. But today's episode will be more in general with the ongoing situation. So Tati, what are the concerns people are coming to you with?
I'm joking now, right? We pretty much postponed most of the elective stuff right now, right? Because we are overwhelmed with the vaccines.
Being like
spay, neuter, simple dental, because we are super overwhelmed with the vaccines and relocations. And just, like the volume is tremendous. Like you cannot imagine quantity of people we are seeing a day right now just to make sure their papers up to date, their vaccine up to date, their animal, we can manage the anxiety for animals. People are sending me this like sort of, A4 sort of size of paper messages. Okay, my dog is scared, is hiding, my cat is this, and we are trying to manage all of that first. And of course, elective is elective. Like you are choosing to do the procedure. It can wait 1 week. Let's sort of reduce the panic right now, which I believe, media doesn't help, especially like within the country, you can see there's a nice weather outside. We just had a coffee. No, but it's nice, right?
No, I love it, yeah.
Everything life is pretty much as normal, right? Yes, we're taking some precaution, but nothing is happening like what internet says, in a big scale. And therefore, we are trying to reassure people, clients ultimately,
Well, it's like speaking with any pet owner. Well, speaking to pet owners that I've spoken to, most people's stress is just about like the what ifs with their pet.
Correct, yeah.
Even for myself, if I think about it, I'm really only stressed about a what if, like traveling with the pets. And that's what I'm speaking to a lot of owners. It seems to be their biggest worry as well.
Yeah, correct. Look, what we faced at the beginning, obviously, there is this like first wave of panic and massive disruption in the traveling itself. And also bear in mind, there were animals due to travel planned. So all those got postponed, which is a large volume of animals as well, right? Plus, there is a new clients, right? New customers who want to travel now urgent and who don't have prepared paperwork and they're doing everything last minute, And basically, we have to try to support them if they really want to go, like to try to make it as fast as possible, especially sometimes sort of they do paperwork first and then they buy tickets. Normally, you should do paperwork first and then you kind of, like, what paperwork you need, right? Then you buy ticket and you quickly do the paperwork, like the papers itself, right? But some countries are more difficult, some countries are more easy, and some people are opposite. They're a little bit irresponsible. They buy ticket in a rush, they didn't check the paperwork, and the animal is not eligible to travel.
Yeah.
And then there is this, new kind of problem starts.
We'll break it down for people a little bit later on in the segment, like the general steps to try and follow for the relocation. But before we get into all of that, just generally, how are pets kind of dealing, or do you see the effects of stress in pets at the moment?
I had several clients coming in or messaging or contacting us. Let me give you an example. Okay, I work in the Palm branch now, you know it, right? And we did have an incident in the Palm just at the beginning of all this situation. And funny enough, our senior surgeon is doing orthopedic surgery at that moment, and there is this blast. And we understand that this is serious, right? And he's like, look, guys, I'm going to finish the surgery. I'm going to try to do it fast, but I have to finish it, etc., right? So therefore, one of the reasons why we a little bit postpone the electives, we don't want to take chances, right?
Yeah, you're mid-surgery and just the situation is very
and the surgeons, they're really nerves of steel. Okay, the guy didn't even blink. Okay, he continued what he was
I remember
doing.
speaking to him as well after, and he was like, there's nothing else even in your mind other than like, this is my patient and I have my work
Correct.
to do.
And this is how it works. But the surgeons is another kind of creature. Okay, we don't like. I'm not sure they are like real humans. Okay, they are a little bit robotic in a way. You understand? Like they have a task, they have to finish, right? But anyway, and I have this client coming in a couple of days after with this beautiful sort of lab husky mix. And she's like, look, my dog is adult, it's been years living here, and after the situation, it really changed. He doesn't want to go walk anymore. He's really scared, looking around, doesn't like kind of tries to pee, poo very quickly and come back, doesn't respond normally, not reacting on other animals, like completely like ignoring them,
And your opinion, this is from the kind of the loud noises that they're experiencing?
That's what she's saying. Yeah. And to be honest, it does make sense because nothing actually changed in their life apart from the situation, and some dogs are more sensitive than others. My own dogs, they absolutely don't care.
Mine don't care. One of them's deaf, so he doesn't care at all. But speaking to clients, a lot of them are getting really anxious dogs with the unpredictable loud noises. And I think we're even seeing like some dogs are kind of escaping on the walk because they just get so it's kind of like fireworks. Yeah,
especially for rescues. Rescue dogs, they are not used for loud sounds, and anything really loud, they can just quickly escape, and then you need to be careful. So what I would suggest, look, if you do feel that your dog is nervous, definitely contact a vet. There are a lot of like very sort of light version remedies we can use there, right?
Such as what?
Look, we have medicines, which is some of them herbal, very natural, very light.
Yeah.
You can introduce absolutely no harm. Something like Calmex, for example, which we use for years now, right? There are a bit stronger medicines as well, which are more like for like more severe anxiety, I would say, right? There is this pheromone collars and pheromone diffusers.
I've seen a lot of people trying to use these.
It's very easily available. It's not something harmful. You don't have to go for like antidepressants on the spot, right? You can go for a light things, right? And they would still improve. And this lady, 2 days after she's sending me, she found on Amazon this like a bandage on the ears.
Yeah, I've seen those
like,
as
do you think it will work? Like, would it kind of
you can try it always.
Make my dog not hear noises? I'm like, it might. But you need to understand that your dog never wore anything like that. It might be more scared of a thing than...
he's already anxious now. There's something tied around him. Exactly. Each pet will respond differently for sure.
Correct.
And then another thing that I've noticed, I don't know if you've seen this, but a lot of kind of chronic pain patients have been worse this week. I have seen at least. And it can be a lot as well, just the routine has changed, like, or they're picking up on owner's anxiety is another thing.
Honestly, animals pick up a lot on owner's anxiety. And this is a big issue we are facing right now, because people come for vaccines and they're crying because they cannot think of like taking animals. They really stress how it's gonna go, especially if it's a big animal, it has to go cargo, and how would it make it in cargo, etc. So definitely they pick up, but we have to be stronger. We have to look on the real picture. Like, I understand everybody worried. I am also worried. I'm also in this situation every day. I'm driving to work, from work, running the errands. I'm also doing everything what the rest of the people do, and I have my own animals,
Yeah.
And
you have a lot of animals.
Yeah, I have a lot of animals. So, and in reality, of course, if I leave, I will take them, and whatever the cost will be, but what if doesn't always happen, and you do need to prepare, but you don't need to think about only what if, because it's actually, thinking about future destroying your present, right?
Yeah, so I can say for sure, I only getting really stressed when I'm worrying too much about a what if. Like the current situation, there's not so much to panic, but just I start to worry.
Prepare and be ready with the knowledge, what you need at least to relocate, what are the options. And then we go from there, if what if happens, we go from there. And, it's still a civilized world. Let's not sort of exaggerate the issue as well, right? You see how airlines are trying to fly as often as possible. They resume most of the flights. A lot of animals are flying now, so animals are flying.
Okay, I wanted to ask you. You've seen animals flying already, then they've started, okay.
Yeah, I had some people, literally, they bought a ticket on Monday and they're due to travel today.
Wow, okay.
Imagine, they managed everything in 2 days. But because they had their vaccines up to date, everything, they did a little bit of due diligence.
Let's break it down for people then. We want to be prepared. What are the kind of 4 or 5 steps you need to have kind of in place before you kind of think about anything else? Doesn't matter where you're going, what you're going to do, you're staying and going, but just have these couple of things ready.
Okay, so there are some common requirements, and there's something I would suggest you to do from the experience, okay? Because there are certain mistakes, problems we noticed while dealing with all of this, right? First, find your pet vaccination record / passport, right?
Step
Find
one,
where
of
it
course,
is,
yeah.
get it out, look
Do you
at
have
it.
it still? Yeah. These are
If you have a cat, by UE law, it's mandatory to have tri-cat and rabies vaccine every year. If you have a dog, it's mandatory to have DHPPI plus rabies vaccine every year. So make sure these two are up to date. Yeah. Second, you have to have a microchip to travel because you need to identify the animal. Make sure the microchip is written in a passport, and ideally you go to the vet and actually check that it's reading correctly, because sometimes there could be a problem with the chip. We had a dog whose chip didn't read. They implanted it years back, and something happened with the technology, I guess, and it doesn't read with any chip readers. So it's something we have to know up front, right? So this is like very basic. You have to check that a vaccine's up to date. If they are not, please do. And microchip is in place.
And another good point that a lot of people don't realize, the microchip needs to be dated before the rabies.
Yes.
So that's kind of an issue for a lot of people who have done the vaccines and then not sure if they're going to take the cat. Often it's the cat. And then years later done a microchip.
Yeah.
And
so
needs
if
to be
you want
done.
to travel, microchip has to be implanted before rabies vaccine, right? Most people do have it, to be very honest with you.
It's more a stray cat issue, I think.
Correct. And most people are just a little bit outdated on the vaccines itself, right? And another thing you do bear in mind that to most countries, in order to travel, you need to have vaccines done at least 21 to 30 days prior to travel. Okay, this is extremely important, and most of the clients don't know it. I have a lot of people coming in. They're like, "I want to do vaccine. I'm traveling the day after tomorrow." We're like, "That's not gonna happen. They will not,
At least 20 to 30 days before or a year before. Is that correct?
Not quite, no. Normally 21 to 30 days prior to travel, the vaccine has to be administered, and then you can travel. So, look for
But I
a
mean,
month.
or maybe I misunderstood it right. If it was done 6 months ago, no more than a
It's
year.
fine. Yeah, no
Exactly,
more
that's
than
what
a
I
year.
mean. So
No
if
more
you've
than
done
a
it, if
year.
you haven't done it in years, you need to now wait 30
Correct.
days. But
Yeah.
if you've been up to date, you're fine.
No, you still have to wait. So from last vaccine, you have to wait for 21 to 30 days to most destinations.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay, that's what they ask. And I mean, we understand the rule. Look, the rule is the rule, right? And most of the clients we face, it's people who've done vaccines yearly. They're very much on time, but sometimes it's like your vaccine is due in April, your vaccine is due in March, and here we are, right? We are doing it right now.
Yeah.
Or it was due in February, right? And we are a little bit outdated. But most of the time there is a waiting time, so bear that in mind, okay?
Would you know the answer to this as well? People who have kind of done DHPPI, but not done it for a few years, as long as they have it done in the last 20 to 30 days, does it matter if they were not up to date with the last few years?
Doesn't principally matter.
Okay, that's good for people to know.
But for the rabies titer test, okay, this is quite important. However, because
okay, let's explain to people. So for the rabies titer test, this is something that not every country needs, but a few of them do. The big ones being Australia, recently Oman.
Yeah, I mean, even Turkey needs.
Turkey,
let's be clear, okay? So EU, UK doesn't need titer test.
UK as well. There's a lot of misbelief for some reason that UK
correct.
needs it.
So right now, as per the latest information,
As of
we got
11th of March,
as
because
of
it changes
11th
every
of
day.
March, 2026, EU and UK are not asking for rabies titer
From
test
UAE.
to travel. From UAE.
Important to notice
But
as well,
not
because from
Oman.
Oman is a different, each
Correct.
country have a kind of high risk or low risk
Correct.
rabies setting.
Yeah.
And UAE is currently a low risk to UK, Europe.
Yeah, so
Okay.
this is how they consider it, okay? But you need to check, look, it's, I think what we have, 196 countries in the world or something like that.
And each one's separate.
And each country has its own requirement, which is legit, because Australia, they don't want to bring any disease to, they're quite secluded from the rest of the world in terms of land access. They don't want to bring any disease. So they're a little bit more strict on the requirements, And therefore, you need to always check requirements to your country where you're gonna travel before.
In general, I wouldn't recommend people to try and do it themselves, but especially now, I would really urge people to be using a pet relocation company, because even in general, if things change, but right now it really is changing so often. And if you're not up to date with kind of
Updates.
yeah, and I even think that some airlines are not working directly with people.
Correct,
So just for your own peace of mind, the relocation, Blue
I'll
Sky
tell
pet
you, you
relocation.
reminded me of story. So yesterday I had a client who did the relocation themselves to quite simple country.
Which
where
which
only-
country were they?
It was Russia, okay?
Okay.
Where only health certificate is required and export from the ministry, which is mandatory anyway. And they had to come back 3 times to the clinic because they filled it up themselves and there were gaps, they were not sort of... They're like, can you help us, guys? And we're like, okay, but, normally we do this with a relocator because as a vet, you guys do understand we are not Like we are a medical establishment, we are not part of the
It's a different service.
airlines
Yeah.
or,
and I think a lot of people kind of are
transporting.
messaging us or asking you guys, as I'm sure in
Yeah.
consults, relocation, very specific relocation questions. And as vets, of course, you want to help as much as possible, but
Correct,
people
yeah.
sometimes don't understand that it's a different service. And I'll help you with the information I have, but there's no guarantee at all
That is
that's
super up to
the
date.
correct information. I'm just trying to help. Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like in this, this has been second week, right? In this 2 weeks, most of the vets became like pretty much
Relocated,
relocator experts, right? Because we know a lot. Like I know so many things in the past 2 weeks. I wouldn't expect I would
Learning
get so
a
much
lot as
knowledge.
well. Yeah.
Okay, but things are changing, and this is what we have to, bear in mind. For example, with Oman, right?
Right. I want to get into Oman because
Yeah,
there's
let's
so
get
many
to Oman.
people. Well, I think so many people made the kind of not mistake, but at the start of this all wanting to kind of go to Oman because the borders were open. They're trying to bring their pets to Oman because there were flights from Oman, but not from Dubai. But what a lot of people didn't realize is not that easy to drive your pet from Dubai to Oman.
No.
And it's even more difficult if you do get across the border somehow to relocate your pet from Oman to Europe than it is
Correct,
from
yeah.
Dubai because, like we were saying, it's a different rabies status country.
Yeah.
So explain to people a little bit, if you want to travel to Oman as of today, what would be needed?
I mean, let's go simple. If you want to cross the border, as per our knowledge, as per our latest knowledge, pretty much based on yesterday, not today, because I didn't speak to relocators yet.
Yeah, today could be a different day.
We speak normally every day now, right? You have to have a valid rabies titer test.
Yeah.
But they did withdraw the waiting time period of 3 months.
So at some point there was a 3 months waiting period after you've done the test. Now that's been withdrawn. You just need to have the results of the rabies titer test or receipt of the rabies titer test.
So this is the funny part, I don't know, you saw I posted it on West group. There is some sort of sources they are saying now you can go with the receipt of rabies titer, but it's not confirmed
don't
by
know
us.
that. Okay.
We will not I would not really rely on it, right? And you need to have valid vaccines, right? And there is some like paperwork with the health certificates, okay?
It's an export. People don't realize that it's an export and import permits to Oman.
Sort of, let's break it very simple to most of the people. That's what I learned with the clients in this 10 days or what it was, right? Think of it this way. There are two countries. Oman is a country. UAE is a country. Everything is separate country, right? In order to leave this country with an animal, you need some paper to be able to leave, which is an export certificate, which is done in the Dubai airport, in Cargo Village, in veterinary section. Okay, there is an official website where you can apply for that certificate 1 to 2 days prior to you going there and obtaining it. You do need to bring your animal with valid vaccination book and the rest of paperwork because this is to leave the country. This is it. This is the last paper you get, and it's not free. I think it's around 400 dirhams the fee for it, right? And then you go there, you wait. Normally, even if you did apply, you still wait in line because you understand the quantity of inquiries they're facing, right? And you get this paper. It's a 1A4 paper, which is like to leave the country. Okay, so let's be very simple. We can attach the location of the place if you do want to go yourself. But I had clients going yesterday, 2 to 3 hours waiting time in the queue. And as per the website, they're working 8 to 2, as per their website. But as per the relocators, they're 24 hours. So we are not really clear on the timings. And especially, we're in Ramadan right now. So please just clarify with them. You can call them up front if, and if anything happens, maybe there will be some changes because, it's a bit dynamic, right? We cannot have a solid 100%. Yeah. So this is to leave the country. And let's kind of forget about it. So you have your valid vaccines, your microchip, and this export certificate. This is if you want to leave this country, okay? But in order to enter another country, you need a set of documents for that country. And depends on the country, the set of documents will vary.
Yeah,
right?
So some will be easier than others.
Yes, and let's go like very simple here. I think if people watch this, it will kind of answer a lot of questions, right? In their head, at least. It will not be like we are running for different papers, for hours without an idea, right? So in order to enter most of European countries, you need a EU certificate, country specific, with the details inputted based on the country you go to, right? And in my view, what I would suggest to people is quite fast to do this EU certificate and the export from the airport. It's a fast, sort of within 2 days you can get it all done if you're a little bit rushed, right? So I would suggest to have a ticket and then do paperwork because what people do ask now, can we do paperwork upfront? And you can, right? But basically it's valid only for 10 days. and you have to input where you're going anyway. So if you don't
I've
know where
seen
you're
that.
going,
Yeah, a lot
you
of
cannot
people
just do
with-
random documents. You know?
They want to be prepared, so they want to have these certificates.
yeah.
But even for the rabies test, you need to have the country that you want to go on the test. Is that correct or not?
Ideally, but you can also put several countries, so that's an
Okay.
option. And I discussed that with Relocator. They said this is fine because very often people do it with an idea that they're gonna travel within the year, for a holiday, for example, right?
Okay.
And they don't know like specific
yeah.
countries. So this one we have a little bit of an option there. And honestly, thank you for the government lab, the CVRL lab. They're doing a very good job. Their official turnaround for titer test is 21 days.
Okay. Yeah.
And imagine the volume of samples we did get to them as just Modern Vet and the other clinics in the region. We are receiving tests quite fast, okay?
You're receiving tests back already then.
Yeah,
so
we're
that's
already receiving
only
tests.
10 days or so.
Look, we had tests which were 7 days only,
Yeah.
and we received 7 days ago, we submitted the sample and we received the test, so they're really doing a good job. But guys, it's not official time frame is 3 weeks, and delay is not impossible, let's be honest.
Of course.
But honestly, I feel like they are really sort of,
They
they're
understand the
putting an effort,
situation
and they are trying to do,
Amazing.
because we received a lot of tests which we've done less than 10 days ago, which is, fantastic.
Yeah,
And
when this all started and I saw everyone
Yeah.
doing the rabies tests, I really wondered,
Yeah.
it makes sense that this can take months to get back when you see the quantity of people
Yeah.
Applying, but 7 days or
honestly,
so is amazing.
I believe we sent over 100 samples just from Modern Vet alone in a day.
Easily, yeah.
Yeah, easily. Because
then-
even from our Palm branch, we send tens of samples on daily basis. So it must be, hundreds, maybe hundreds or hundreds from Modern Vet Alliance itself, all the clinics in our group, okay? And bear in mind, what is rabies titer test? Let's remind people once
Yeah,
again, right?
clarify that.
So this is how much antibodies towards rabies your dog has in the bloodstream at the moment. So if your dog doesn't have a rabies vaccine or just had it recently and didn't have it for long before that, let's say your dog had a vaccine in 2020 and then you didn't vaccinate rabies and you vaccinate suddenly now, right, because of the situation, and you want to do titer now, you cannot do titer immediately if you had a very long gap, because most likely your pet will not have that titer. It didn't build up the answer to the vaccine yet. But if you did vaccines consecutively yearly with no gaps, and you can do titer straight away after vaccine. There's
Same day.
Yeah, because
Okay.
you will have antibodies from before, because you're just topping up. You're not kind of.
And for people who
refilling
have
the
that
gap.
long break, it's a 3-4 week wait, is it? Or even maybe
Yeah,
a
if you had
booster.
a long break, we would recommend to wait at least three weeks, before taking the titer, because if your animal doesn't pass, it's quite expensive test,
You don't want to be doing that.
I
every
did a
few
bit
days.
of research on the cost in the region, and it's quite expensive test with all the clinics. It is a sophisticated technique.
It's sent away. It's not something that's
it's
done
sent
in house.
away.
Yeah.
It's not an in-house test, so average price on titer test varies is definitely about 1,000 dirhams, and most clinic charge between 1,500 to 1,500,
that's about right, I think.
1,900, on average, right? We did a lot of tests this past 2 weeks, and we are very good. We've done it before, right? It's not the first time we are doing it, and we are grateful for the lab, putting everything speeding up the things, just understanding the people's situation, because definitely the turnaround time is better. But I do understand the volume,
It's huge, yeah. So we've mentioned the passports, we've mentioned the vaccines, microchip, and the rabies titer test. These are the kind of the core things. And everything people don't realize, have your crates. Have your crates ready in the house.
Yes.
Because they need to be
100%.
airline approved. You need to know the sizes. And it doesn't hurt if you want to go to the vet, you have your appropriate crates kind of ready.
Funny you mentioned it. Almost nobody asked that.
Nobody does, and I don't have it either
Yeah.
until a friend said she'd ordered one, and I was like, "Oh, you're thinking about all
Yeah.
these passports and everything, but no, I don't have the crate."
True. Because I don't know how much you guys know. Maybe not many people traveled with animals. This is the thing. Many people got animals here in UAE. We have our COVID animals.
Yeah, everyone has their little COVID pet
Right?
that never left.
So this is the thing, right?
Yeah.
So basically, airlines require something called IATA approved. Most of them require IATA approved carriers and cages, right? For in-cabin traveling, it's a little bit different. They do accept some
The
soft
soft ones,
carriers,
yeah.
etc. But also you need you need to research, you need to order, check it. Maybe your animal is not comfortable. Maybe it's not sturdy. Some cats are
Or
trying
if you
to
have a cat
open it up.
and you want to be prepared, get them adjusted to the crate.
You got
The cats,
yeah.
they hate the crates because they're never used to it, and it
Yeah.
only means they're going to the vet. So, if
Yeah.
there's just something you can do at home, I would say just start to kind of have this positive experience with the crate. You're
Correct,
feeding them in
yeah.
the crate, so that if they ever do need to travel, it's not the end of the
Completely
world
new.
for them. Yeah.
Completely new. And I wanted to say something else. Many people ask me, I don't want to send my dog in cargo, it's gonna die there. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people are terrified of the cargo.
Okay,
and
so look, in my personal experience, I've been in UAE since 2015. Okay,
Yeah.
it's been over 10 years, right? By now, honestly, we didn't. We relocated hundreds of animals by, in
yeah, it's
this
very
time
transient
frame.
based already. Yeah.
As of modern vet itself or my colleagues, I never heard any pet dying in cargo. At least
No, I
with
hear
us,
it on the
you know?
news, but I've actually never experienced.
But like
From us,
we
yeah.
send real animals,
Yeah.
and some of the people, I have this client. They went to Switzerland, and the dog went in cargo. It's a big husky, right? And they're sending me, this is their, Serena. Her name is Serena. Serena is in the mountains, enjoying her life. So many people give some feedback, and sometimes we do ask. Plus, bear in mind, we work with a relocator, so relocator also gives feedback. Like, if you ask me very, very honest. Who would be most at risk, okay? Whom I would be worried as a
To send
human,
as
as
cargo.
a vet, to send the cargo. It's definitely snub-nosed dogs, okay? This is my number one, okay? Definitely, because they also they don't like, but they do get overwhelmed easy, Like if they're stressed, they start to pant a lot, and then they cannot kind of get out of this cycle of panting. So this is the breed I would be really careful, with sending cargo, especially if there is a respiratory problem. Even though, now we are doing special BOAS assessment for these breeds. Like we have to say if this dog can travel based on how it tolerates.
The Boas one is a
Stress and
bit stressful for people as well because a lot of airlines have a restriction coming up from April to October or so. You can't fly with
correct.
a Boas breed. So
Yeah.
I have a Boas dog myself, and I kind of just clicked that the other day. Like, actually, he couldn't fly in April. I don't know if Etihad allows them on the plane.
So plane requirements, most of
Some of them still ban the Boas.
In the cabin, they are more or less
Yeah.
flexible, I would say, at least from what I understand. And you do guys remember that cabin? It's 8 kilograms with the bag.
With the bag, yeah.
For most of the airlines, and bag is roughly 1 kg. That's what we aim for. So it's around 7, maybe 7 a little bit kilogram animal. So I think Fidel still qualifies if you didn't feed
We do a
him too
little
many
diet.
treats,
They're all on diets.
Right? So for the cargo, like we spoke, so I would be careful with snap nose. Shih Tzus are not too bad, but bulldogs are a little bit more because they're very happy dogs, and they have a lot of energy. So if they're really anxious, they pant a lot, and this is always. Even it stresses me in the clinic sometimes, when I see them in the cages, waiting for procedure.
Yeah, and you
I
can
try
hear
to
them.
keep them minimum in the cage, minimum restricted, minimum scared, stressed, excited. Super careful with these breeds, okay?
Boas,
Yeah.
older pets.
Not older pets.
Because a lot of people think it's older, but it's more, I guess, sick pets.
Correct. It's not even against sick pets. It's more I would say cardiac animals.
Yeah.
What realistically is who are more impacted is animals with severely impaired cardiac function, right? It doesn't have to be an animal with a kidney problem. Animal with a kidney problem most likely will make it with no issues, right?
Yeah.
But if you have a animal with quite
Pull
bad.
your mic into yourself,
Yeah.
actually, as well. It's kind of.
If you have an animal with quite bad cardiac disease, you have to bear in mind, right, that there is certain risk because the heart is already weak, right? And I don't know how much. Have you heard of canine jets and all these things?
I have.
Yeah. So,
So
there is,
for
you
people's
can-
reference, there is now, and I think there's many of them happening in the last
Correct,
few
yeah.
weeks. A lot of companies, it's kind of a private plane that is dog friendly. So they kind of
Correct.
groups of people together, you maybe 8 or 10 people on a plane, and the dogs. I don't even think there's a size limit on most of them. Your
No,
big
no size
dog can
limit.
go on the plane with you. Of course, it's expensive. I'm not sure how much it is these days, but it is kind of a somewhat suitable option for some people.
Yeah.
To look
Honestly,
into this.
fantastic experience. I had some clients flying
I've seen
in.
clients, and it looks
Not right now. I had, before I have this one guy with a French bulldog, and he said, "Look, I don't want to put him cargo.
Yeah.
I know it's expensive, but I'm gonna spend this money. I'm relocating him here for good. Let it be. I think it was around $10,000 at the time. I don't know what the cost right now.
It's more now.
Honestly,
but, yeah.
if I can afford, if I have finances to afford, it's a fantastic experience. They got all this little doggy lounge experience. The plane is amazing. Everybody.
And I
has
think they don't even have to
super good
be
experience.
crated or anything. You're just
I think no.
because I
from
have a
my
client as well,
understanding.
two Rhodesian Ridgebacks. So if they're allowed on the plane, it's not really a size limit. She brought both of hers, and they don't have to be crated. They were
Yeah.
just able to be on the plane with her. Yeah, if you have the money, this is hands down the
And there are some new companies. I saw some ads.
more locations as well. Because for a while it was just kind of to London or to Germany, but I think now there's
Milan,
several locations.
So US,
Yeah.
London, Milan. This is Canine Jets, if I'm not wrong. And I did saw some ads for Germany and some European countries. Yeah. And from the airline perspective, from what I'm observing, okay, I'm not a specialist in this. This is like a personal observation, and I'm due to travel next week to Ireland, to your home country, for a dental course. And I'm also having a bit of a problem with the airlines as well. Basically, local airlines, I'm super grateful for you local airlines because you guys doing a great job, okay? Because Emirates as good as it gets, I would say. They are flying as much as possible. They try to resume most of operation. I understand it's super stressful. I know some people are frustrated. I get it. But if we look overall, they are still doing a good job, okay? We have to be honest,
like people kind of get impatient their flights getting cancelled, but I'm amazed to see like there's so many flights going out every day.
Exactly,
yes, there's some disruptions, but there's a lot of flights still every day,
Bear that in mind, right? So Emirates, Etihad, Air Arabia and Fly Dubai seems to be operating.
Yeah.
Emirates, Etihad, I would say most of the flights take off which were planned. Fly Dubai and Air Arabia with some disruptions, but unfortunately a lot of European airlines are not flying in, neither
they don't
flying
have
out.
I was speaking to someone from Emirates the other day, apparently they don't have the kind of allowance. It has to be like a local one because we are responsible for our own, but So if you're booking flights for tickets, for pets, I would focus on like a local airline to have like the least disruption to it.
Etihad flies cabin, Emirates doesn't fly cabin, only cargo. Fly Dubai, I'm not sure. I know they're not flying cabin. I don't know even if they're flying cargo animals, to be honest. I
haven't heard much about them. I would focus on those two,
I know that European, like Air France, KDLM, Polish Airlines,
Turkish Airlines is
Turkish,
quite pet friendly as well, but it's just if they're flying
they all fly cabin.
Yeah.
Turkish is not flying right now. I was supposed to fly Turkish. They just all the flights are cancelled for the Turkish so far. But Turkish is great, Russian Aeroflot, I know the client just went in cabin with the cat. They booked ticket 2 days before the travel as well,
It's very
as good as it gets,
uplifting to hear that people are able to fly with them, because I know that so many people are stressed of what to do. So I want to move on a little bit from people who are relocating with their pets. Hopefully we've kind of answered as much as we can about that. People who don't know what to do with their pet, and I'm sure you get a lot of people kind of asking this, like, I don't know, can I fly with my pet, or finances, whatever, can I bring my pet? What are there other options for people who possibly want to leave the country, have a pet, and they're not able to fly with it?
Look, in my view, thanks God, Dubai is extremely developed in terms of boarding, daycare, all these facilities for years.
Yeah, we have
They're
many
very
options for the boarding.
Really good. You've been to some yourself, I'm sure. I know several owners of these places. I've been to these places. My dog's been to these places, and they're good. And they're operational. And I would say this is a good option. Okay?
Yeah, if you want to put your pet into boarding. Vienna Vets also has cat boarding as well for people if they need to have this.
Fantastic. Yeah, and and the contrary question what I get from people, what if there is some issue and they just leave my animals, okay? Honestly, I don't, you're talking what if scenario, like it has to be very, 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 bad scenario. Why we are going to the worst case scenario in our situation. Like they're currently operational, everything
I've seen
is
actually the answer to this, not from every boarding, but I have seen online a few boardings addressing this because I'm sure they're flooded with this question.
Okay.
And they've basically said that if anything goes wrong in their area, they have a kind of a outreach of like 4 or 5 different boardings in their facility that they have an agreement with. Like if something goes wrong and we're not able to operate ours, you're going to take our pets. You'll come and take them and look after them there. And they all have this kind of agreement between different areas. I've heard a lot of them saying this, that we will take theirs if there's an issue, or they will take ours. And it's kind of everything is kind of put in place. They do have a lot of these things like an emergency protocol already in place. To make people feel a little bit more reassured.
Yeah, honestly, fantastic.
As you were saying here in Dubai as well, most of them have cameras. They have like daily updates. You will be very in touch with your pet still, because I know it's very stressful for people to think about leaving them. But in a reputable boarding, this is definitely an option for people.
And this is mainly we are talking for dogs. Okay, for cats, I do believe that pet sitter would be a better option.
Yeah, the cats they don't like the new kind of situation.
Correct. Yeah, and if you never done it, you will be more stressed. You have to be a little bit open to allow people to your house, right? But Dubai is super safe in my view, okay? I'm
people
still standing by that.
Yeah, of course. But people who were worried about what to do if there's an emergency, I would say this is, if you're getting a cat pet sitter, this is the time to really use a licensed pet sitter. Because this person who comes kind of, it's not legit. If there is something wrong or they don't want to travel that day, I wouldn't have the trust that
Yeah.
they will keep coming if there's really an emergency. But you have these kind of licensed companies. This is their job. This is their commitment. You will feel more safe, I think.
Can I tell you one funny story, right? So you remember when there was a flood in Dubai, right? This huge flood,
Yeah.
right? And a friend of mine was traveling, and I was pet sitting their cat. They were in Ireland as well. And this little cat is like 15-year-old, really grumpy, ginger white cat, you know. And then there was this flood day. And obviously, you remember, nothing was, you cannot drive.
Yeah,
it was
all the
super
roads were
difficult,
closed,
right?
yeah.
And I remember me and my mom, we parked like super far away from their house.
Basically
and
swam there.
yeah, I swear to you, you know, the water was above my knees and we are just walking there to feed this cat. So you do pick people who are like more responsible. Yes, it wasn't ideal, but we're not going to keep him starved, you know, and I can wash my legs
we'll
or
get
something,
there, yeah.
right? And generally, like, if you did use pet sitter in past and you trust them, amazing. You can ask your friends suggestion as well. You know, people are using pet sitter. Pet sitter community is super variable. There are some websites with the pet sitters as well, with the rating, reviews, everything. You can look into that, you know. And I would generally keep pet sitter, like I would find the pet sitter up front just so I have maybe
Yeah,
a
I've
couple.
met them. We've spoke. They know
Correct,
the pets.
yeah.
They know the house
Yeah.
situation.
This is your what if, you know.
And for what ifs,
there
it
you
doesn't
go.
hurt to kind of make friends of your neighbors. You know what I
Correct.
mean? Just to
Yes,
have someone who
absolutely.
could pop by or whatever, you know, just
Yeah.
to be prepared.
150%. You know, I had neighbors traveling, and I was looking after their cats on like many years sort of ago. I started this like just to help out in the community. If I travel, you guys, can you feed my cats? So just to you know, it's a very obviously affordable option because it doesn't require any finances, right? If you're like financially a little bit tight on the pet sitter, right? You can use that, you know, and you know, think outside of the box.
Yeah.
Right.
We made a post a few days ago that it was quite controversial because you had personally people coming up to you and I guess they weren't. So the post was about like traveling with pets, and you had several people asking you what can I do with my pet? Can I euthanize him? If I can't, was it they wanted to euthanize that they can't travel, or just they were kind of panicking about it? So can you give a little bit more about kind of people's questions about euthanasia for their pets in this time?
Yeah, look, you know, I'm in a lot of online groups, Facebook, Telegram. I'm checking all those things for like animals help, like foster, rescue, animals needing help, relocation, just to see what people are saying as well. And I feel like this topic has blown a little bit out of proportion.
Yeah.
It's not like we have this many inquiries of people. Like it's not. Yeah, let's put it there. Like it's extremely rare case.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe they are asking just in case, what if, you know, they're going what if, but just to extreme kind of
the
scenario,
full spiral
right?
of
It was just a couple of people I got that question from. And obviously, look, I'm a big animal lover, you know me for years. Like I would not, I don't think I can euthanize a healthy animal, okay?
Yeah.
I've never done it. I have to be honest. I've never done an euthanasia, just like, I cannot, you know, I just cannot. I'm like, look guys, maybe you choose another vet or another clinic. I just physically can't do it for you. I'm so sorry. So basically, yes, I did had a couple of people asking that. We had they were panicking. Okay, both of the people who asked me were like really panicking, you know. And we had like very calm discussion. I'm like, look, pet sitters, boardings.
Yeah, and I
you
think
can
that's
keep
so
it in the
warranted for
clinic.
people. Like you just need to explain. We have 3-4 options, even more, 10 options before we're anywhere close to kind of that.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like we are so far away from that, and realistically, nothing is happening right now. It's quiet. We are all safe, you know. I wake up in the morning, I woke up, I drove here, we had coffee, everything is okay, you know, nothing, like, let's be calm, let's not take it out, blow it out of proportion, and definitely let's not put anybody to sleep for no reason, right?
Yeah.
But I don't, after a certain point of my career, stop judging people much because you don't know their circumstances, and you really don't, okay? And everybody is in different position, you know? We have clients who have a private jet and can take animals on private jet, and we have clients who can barely make
food for this week,
food for their animals, okay? And let's be honest, okay? And I've sent some food to some rescue people I know who have a lot of cats, okay? Just from Amazon, I order some like basic cat food, some like 10 kilograms here, 10 kilograms there. Just
what, do you have the name of the rescues? Because that was my next question. A lot of people are asking how they can help. So if you have any rescues that you would like to kind of tell people, or they're independent people.
So this is the thing, because there's no many organization functioning as such. There are a lot of independent rescues, right, who are doing, there are a lot of, I would say there is a lot of WhatsApp groups, you know, no animal left behind, relocation helps, pet owners needing support. You can kind of enroll in that and read, and see what you can help. You can definitely reach to, because normally all these rescue peoples, they're not new. They're doing rescuing for years. They are sort of, okay. Like in general, they know what they're doing. They have protocols and procedures in place. They've done it for many years. So I would suggest probably for immediate, like current situation, there are a lot of people who are really need to travel, and maybe they want a foster for like a boarding temporary for a cat. Somebody to take their cat for a while, right? Or pet sit for them or something, right? So these Facebook groups are optional. Of course, I do encourage to use like trusted and licensed pet sitters. That would be my definitely suggestion to everyone. I use the same pet sitters for years for my own pets, and I fully trust. So this is like really, and it when I travel, I don't stress. I know everything will be okay. Even if something happens, pet sitter knows what to do.
Yeah, once I have the same person, it removes the stress because I know
it removes
them.
the stress completely. So this is the situation, and I would say go to these groups, because there it's not rescuers, it's individual people who really need help, and those people don't have a rescue experience. They're really lost. They really need help. Sometimes you can help with like words. You can actually help out in certain situation. Maybe distress. Maybe just give your suggestions or what you think, or if you had similar experience, maybe something else. There are rescue people who are asking for cat food there as well, and they're like, look, a lot of people are freelancers, etc., right? They're like rescuing cats, and this is the people I send the food to.
And it's also a bit heartbreaking. There are, unfortunately, people abandoning the pets. That is a reality. And you see these rescuers who've been rescuing for so long, and then they're getting inundated with these more rescues. So I think, like you said, to be able to help these people who are already kind of drowning in rescues, and then there is been a raise in the animals.
What you can do if you're look, you can foster a cat, okay? Fostering is not obliging you to adopt. At least temporarily offload some rescue people from some animals, or foster a puppy. I saw a post yesterday in the internet, 6 puppies, so like just maybe 2 months old. They're looking for fosters, right? Fosters or adopters for that matter. And this sort of thing, you can do it if you have a capacity. It doesn't oblige you to keep that animal, but at least temporary you give a relief.
Yeah, and I've seen most foster rescue places being like, it's just a foster. If you need to leave, I'm responsible for the animal. You bring them straight back. You're not tied down to it.
Yeah, but at least you offload them. You give them space. At least maybe you can sort
them,
out the food.
You're going to take off the pressure.
Just mental health of an animal as well, right? Let's bear that in mind. So this is my suggestion. I would probably do that.
Maybe it's a bit depressing, but the other day I saw this little old dog that the owners had left the country, and they trying to rehome the old dog. And especially for cases like this, it's like even the post said we cannot put him into boarding. This is not an option, this little 14-year-old dog, to put him into the boarding. So if people want to help, I think reaching out to kind of offer a home instead of a boarding situation temporarily for these kind of pets.
This is so kind. This would be super kind. I'm following this Instagram page of a couple who only rescue old dogs, just to give them the best quality of life, and this is just heartbreaking to see that. So please don't stress, please open up your heart a little bit in the pet community. You can help, you can buy a bag of food, maybe, skip 3 coffees, and buy a bag of food for some rescuers, maybe offer a foster, Of course, we cannot oblige people to do it, but if you're really interested, if you want to help and,
this
you want to know what you can do, this is what you can do, right? And in terms of relocation, bear in mind that Modern Vet does work with the relocation company who is professional in what they do. We do have a lot of inquiries now, like all the relocators, but Modern Vet plus relocators are working together, trying to make sure we get through all the inquiries as fast as possible, don't make any mistakes. Make sure all the animals are arranged for travel if they are planning, for sure, or at least they have an idea what they need.
It's an option if you want to in the future.
Right, yeah. And if you need any anxiety consult or anything, feel free to come in. We are open. All our branches, by the way, are functioning
completely. We haven't stopped changing
we
the
didn't
hours
stop for a day. We didn't stop for a day. We didn't reduce for an hour. So, and honestly, vets are doing a very good job, but please do understand that we are also under a lot of pressure, okay? This situation also stressful for us. We are also pet parents, please be kind, try to understand your vets, and bear in mind we have really, really increased load of the appointment these days, okay? So some delays in the waiting are possible, people are late, GPS is working funny, so many things, right? So let's be people
compassionate
at first,
to each other,
compassionate, I promise I would help you out. You know, every
As
client
much
I
as I
have in the
can,
room, I do my best. You
Yeah.
know, sometimes at the end of the day, I'm completely, I'm so exhausted. I don't have energy to do anything anymore, but I really do my best throughout the whole day with every client, especially now. I'm really trying to offer compassion, or try to understand what they want, what is their stress, what if they travel, this, that. So if there's anything, you can always reach out. Modern Vet, I think you know your vets here, we've been around for a while, so if there's anything, please.
And to finish off, you kind of answered my last question, but 3 actions pet owners should take after listening to today's podcast.
Okay, let's make it simple. Check your animal has a pet passport, right?
Perfect.
You have it physically in your hands. It has microchip done before rabies vaccine. It has updated rabies and tricat or DHPPI vaccine based on the species. Make sure you know travel requirements to the country if you are planning
your
to
potential
travel,
country,
that
yep.
at least you're prepared, and if you have crate, etc. And please watch if your animal is really having some anxiety signs or anything, because we can help out with that. Okay, so this is as simple as that, and please don't panic.
That's such a great ending. Please don't panic.
Please don't panic.
It's making it worse. Tatiana, thank you so much for speaking. I'm sure for everyone listening, this was super helpful in at least kind of answering some of the questions you might have, or at least calming you a little bit to the situation and all the things that are really in your kind of power to control still.
Correct, yeah.
So thank you so much. And if you have any questions, please let us know in the comments, or as Tatiana said, give us a call or book an appointment with one of our vets.
I'm updating my Instagram all the time on the new.
Yeah, I love your updates. They're very helpful.
Like Oman requirement, this, that. So you can always follow Modern Vet on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram.
What's your Instagram?
Dr Tatiana Pet Vet.
Okay.
You're following me on Instagram. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My God, what is this? I cannot self-promote. No. I'm just saying like this. Like my Instagram is just my papa here.